Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna go through my entire flip process on this 2010 Dodge Journey. We're gonna start with what's wrong with it, fixing it, conditioning it, selling it, and then finally going over the numbers of the project. My name is Jeremy, this is Region Automotive, and let's get to work. Okay, so we'll do our usual walk around here and talk about the vehicle. So it's a 2010 Dodge Journey. The exterior isn't the best on it. It has steel wheels with good winter tires, which is good because it's September here in Canada and snow will be coming in November. So it's great timing to sell an all-wheel drive vehicle with winter tires. But yeah, so if we walk around, a little bit of rust there. The other side, it's much worse. There's good rust there. Other than that, it's not too bad. It's not like a rebuilt, like totaled car where the bumper's fallen off and all the body panels are misaligned. It's a 14-year-old vehicle. And yeah, so we'll go through the interior here. Another thing I really liked, it's pretty loaded for the year. All-wheel drive again, which is huge. Leather seats, pretty sure they're heated. It has a backup camera. Came with like 17 other spare rims. I'm going to separate the, I believe there's, yeah, 4 Journey rims, some Steelies, and then a couple Ram rims. I don't know. It comes with a DVD player, which is kind of cool, but no one will ever use that. It has 237,000 kilometers, so this many miles, which actually isn't too bad for the year. Fires right up. And then really the things that are wrong with it, as it was advertised, was the front left wheel lit on fire, which is crazy. And I did a bit of diagnosis, I'll show you in a sec here. The brake caliper was just seizing up like crazy, so I already have both new front brake calipers. Then when I was driving it, I noticed there's a bit of a front end rattle. Again, I'll show you what the issue was. Then I think I heard a bit of a rear wheel bearing hum. So I'm gonna jack up the rear end and check both bearings. And anyway, for now, let's jump right into the diagnosis on that brake caliper. So I have the car up on jack stands and I'll show you how hard it is. That's not too bad now because I kind of freed it up a little bit earlier, but it's still like way too tight. Like that caliper is just hanging up there. And then I'll show you another issue that I noticed. Do you see that play? Do you hear that play? I'll put you under the car and show you exactly where it's coming from. Right now, you're looking at the driver's side tie rod end. The driver's side's worse than the passenger side, but I'm still gonna replace both. For one, you can just see how the boot's just like torn apart there and they've filled it full of grease. And then when I move the wheel, you see how the steering knuckle is kind of moving at a different rate, I guess, or the steering knuckle is moving separate from the end of the tie rod end. So yeah, that inner ball in that tie rod is just blown apart. So I'm gonna replace the outer tie rod ends as well. Apparently this wheel was on fire, which is crazy, but I can believe it after looking around here. First thing I noticed is the brake caliper seems like weirdly surface rusty. Like again, is on fire, the coating or whatever got burnt off, it got nice and hot. So I thought that was interesting. And then if you look at the pad there, you see how there's like that white crust like close to the rotor. I'm pretty sure that's like ash from the ceramic material. Then yeah, that boot is torn. I got new slide pins. And then the inner boot on the caliper there is burnt up as well. So yeah, this caliper must have seized up and like had a small fire on between the rotor and the pad, which is very scary. So like I said, I got new calipers. I'm gonna replace both sides just to be safe. All I have to say is thank gosh for the internet. That's honestly part of the reason why I started this YouTube channel, is because I've spent so much time watching car videos on YouTube for one, I got bored of watching them, and for two, I figured I'd just start making my own because I've learned so much from YouTube. The reason why I say all that is because I thought I was a big smart guy replacing the caliper to fix this sticking issue, but the previous owner's mechanic already replaced the caliper, so I'm like, okay, maybe he had, you know, line clogged up, issues bleeding or whatever, faulty caliper. So I replaced the caliper and I was having the exact same issue. So then I found a video online of someone who's having this issue with their wheel locking up, and they also replaced the caliper. And then here's what they found the issue was, and I can see it 100% here. So that's why I'm showing you guys. So apparently the bracket that holds the hose starts to rust and it starts to constrict the hose. So you can actually see how constricted that hose is. And the reason why the caliper engages and doesn't release is because you have all the pressure from your master cylinder with the brake booster, so it's able to push the fluid to the caliper. But when you release the brake pedal, the pressure in the caliper isn't enough to push through this constriction, so that's why it's engaging. So all I'm gonna do is just bend that tab back until it's not constricting anymore, and that should fix my issue. 100%, you can see where that hose was constricted there. So I just put it in the bracket and I like kind of held it with channel lock pliers, and then I had a pry binder there and I made sure I was just prying on that clamp and not the hose. And I was able to pry the clamp out, and like, yeah, that hose would just like squeeze like crazy. So yeah, again, thank gosh for the internet. Like I was thinking like master cylinder, if there's a check valve or something like that, but I just quickly searched it because again, I didn't want to go down the rabbit hole of taking all this crap apart. And I searched it, and there's a mechanic shop that posted it actually, and they had this exact issue. So that's like 100% my issue. So I'm going to take it for a drive and make sure the brakes engage and disengage properly. And if they don't, I'm going to get a new hose and replace that. But I think it should be okay. Because yeah, like I said, when I took that out, like that was just pinched like crazy. So yeah, anyway, I pretty much could have fixed that for free, but luckily I found good calipers at the junkyard. These are like 20 bucks a piece, so not too expensive of a lesson, but yeah, like I said, I'm going to take it for a drive, make sure they're all good. If that's the case, then I'm going to replace my tie rod ends. Don't forget to subscribe, you guys, if you want to see more flip videos like this. Each and every one of you subscribers keeps me motivated to continue making videos. And every new subscriber I get gets the gears turning in my head on how I can make the next video even better. And lastly, once I hit 500 subscribers, I'm going to pick a subscriber between 1 and 500. I'm going to give that person some merch and a tool as a small thank you for supporting my channel. I actually just realized that replacing this old new caliper, new old caliper, actually wasn't a waste of time or money because it's freaking on fire. Yeah, that outer boot got all melted, and then I think I saw a bit of fluid around the piston when I took it off, so I'm guessing there's an O-ring seal in there, so that probably got hot and melting. So anyway, that was unusable as is, so I don't feel as bad, I guess, replacing the caliper, not that I did in the first place. But yeah, anyway, I took her for a drive to pick up some oil. I went down the highway. Yeah, the brake engages and disengages good now. There's no resistance. I don't hear like any sticking or anything like that, so I would consider that fixed. And then the wheel bearing was actually making quite a bit of noise, so I decided to order wheel bearing. And then I can't remember if I was telling you guys earlier or not, but the sway bar bushings were making noise. I was also able to get these OEM hubcaps from the junkyard, which is really nice. They came off a Dodge Caravan, so I got all 4 hubcaps. I think they're like $6 or $7 a piece. So whenever, like if I ever have a car that has the black steel wheels, I always buy hubcaps from either the parts store, or this is the first time I bought them used from a junkyard because I think it cleans up the look of the vehicle quite a bit. I must say, I'm beginning to not like doing sway bar bushings. If you watch my Kia Rio video, I replaced the sway bar bushing on that thing, and that was a pain in the ass. The reason why it's a pain in the ass is like, one, it's hard to get to the bolts. These bolts, like there's rust on the thread, so I couldn't even use my electric impact. I had to do it by hand with a torque bar the whole time. Luckily, this bushing was relatively easy to slip on and off the sway bar and get that strap up on top. but I'm glad I did it because that definitely, I wish I showed you guys before. I forgot. I could pull like the sway bar back and forth. It was so loose that I could like move it up and down by hand. But after just replacing this bushing, it's like super tight. So I'm pretty confident that's going to fix any superficial rattling I had coming from the front end. Okay, I feel pretty happy with how it's running and driving. So I'm okay to put some time into detailing now. So this one is not so clean like my last couple I've done. I'm definitely gonna have to spend some time detailing it. So yeah, I'm just gonna go to town with the vacuum and then have to wipe down all the plastics here, clean up the leather. But it's not too bad. There's no damage or anything like that. Just, you know, someone who hasn't cleaned their car in a couple of years or whatever. So I'm just gonna get to it and get the interior nice and clean. Well, vacuuming, how do you say that word? Vacuuming it, say that 10 times over, took longer than I would like to admit, but it's looking pretty good. I would say, yeah, like I said, this thing was very filthy. Like I just vacuumed, I don't know, candy, dog hair, dust, sand, garbage, like out of the carpets. It probably took me a good 3 hours to vacuum this thing, but a good vacuum always makes a huge difference. Just kind of show, you can kind of see the light there and there. Then got the back nice and clean. Keep in mind, I just vacuumed. I still got to wipe down the panels, but I'm actually going to wash it because I want to use the pressurized water to clean the door jambs, and then just in case if it sprays over on the panels and stuff, so then I don't have to clean it twice. Most of you should know by now that this is my signature final step of detailing. All right, I am just doing that wheel bearing, that rear wheel bearing. Like I said earlier in the video, I thought it was maybe the noise of the winter tires, but I took it on the highway and she was howling pretty good, and it sounded like it's coming from the right side. Jacked up the rear, checked, like spun both rear tires. I think the noise is coming from the right, so I'm hoping so. But yeah, I have you guys set up on it because in my experience, to get these wheel bearings out, I've had to use just brute force, and I found myself a big old sledgehammer, so I figured I'd set you up and put on a little show here. See? Brute force does the trick. It always does. All right, guys, we are pretty much done the journey here. She's looking pretty good. It's been quite a journey, you could say. God damn, I'm awkward. Anyway, yeah, the journey, I'm pretty happy with how it sits now. It's all cleaned up. The major repairs that I did to it was the sway bar bushings. I fixed that pinch brake hose as we saw. And then I did the, that was passenger side wheel bearing. And yeah, I just kind of cleaned her up, like detailed the exterior a little bit. And then the interior turned out really well. So yeah, everything's nice and clean. Again, I would highly recommend spending time cleaning your vehicle. If you're buying and selling it, that's like the first thing people look at. That looks like next to new. Same thing here, that's all clean. So my final step of flipping this thing is taking photos. And again, I like to be kind of at a neutral background here, just a school like parked on the street. Make sure the vehicle's nice and square and level to the photo. All right, guys, the journey has sold. So let's talk about my numbers on this project. So I bought the car for $1,000, and the reason why I got it for so cheap is because it was having that brake hang up issue. Once I bought the car, I used my truck and trailer to go pick it up, and I figured that was about $100 in gas to pick it up. As I showed in the video, the tie rod ends were quite worn, so I replaced those, and that cost me $80. And then I replaced the one brake caliper. I ended up buying both calipers, which is 55 bucks, but I only had to replace the one. Since it's from the junkyard, I didn't even bother returning the other one. So the caliper was $55. The hubcaps I showed you there, those were 30 bucks at the junkyard. The wheel bearing I replaced, the rear passenger wheel bearing, that was 70 bucks. I did an oil change on it, flush out the oil. That was $65. I also did the sway bar bushings. That was 15 bucks on Amazon. And lastly, there was my detail supplies, which I estimated to be about $50. So my total cost in this project was $1,465. I ended up selling it for $4,500. So if you subtract the two numbers, that gave me a profit of $3,035. And I actually ended up selling a set of rims that was in the back of the car that I had shown you there. I ended up selling a set of rims for 250 bucks. So then that brought up my total profit to $3,285. All right, so that wasn't too bad of a profit. Now let's talk about the time and figure out approximately how much I got paid per hour. So the initial purchase and time to transport, I figured that was about 2 hours. Tie rod ends, I guessed around 2 hours. Brake caliper, replacing the caliper, bleeding it, figuring out that pinch hose, I figured about 2 hours for that. Changing the oil, that was half an hour. Changing the sway bar bushings, I figured about 2 hours for that by the time I was messing around with those rusted threads and all that crap. Changing the wheel bearing, I figured that was about 2 hours. I spent quite a bit of detailing the inside and the outside, so I figured that took me about 6.5 hours. And then lastly, I took the photos, made the ad, ended up showing it twice before it sold. I figured that was probably about an hour of time. The total estimated hours I have into this project is about 18 hours. So if you take my profit of $3,285 and you divide it by my total hours, 18 hours, that works out to be about $183 an hour. So that's pretty good for that project. All right, you guys, that is my video of buying, fixing, reconditioning, and selling this Dodge Journey for profit. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and have a good day.